Welcome to SVG-TV News and Sports for January 10th, 2014. I'm Jimmy Prince for the details. A total of 46 Vincentians were today recognized by the University of the West Indies for their academic and professional achievements in various disciplines. Those who graduated today studied at the local open campus, Mona, St. Augustine, Cayfield, and the SVG Community College. In congratulating the students, head of the UE Open Campus, SVG, Deborah Dalrymple, says the institution continues to place more intellectual resources from the university at the service of the community.
In 2013, we were pleased to welcome Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the Cayfield Campus, Professor Hilary Beckles, and Director of the Institute of Gender and Development Studies and Professor of Social History, Professor Vereen Shepherd, from the Open Campus, to deliver the Emancipation and Independence lectures respectfully. During the current year, we shall be exploring the possibility of facilitating a workshop by colleagues from the Hugh Lawson Shearer Trade Union Education Institute, a marketing workshop by a colleague from the UWI Open Campus in Trinidad and Tobago, and lectures from professors at the Cayfield Campus. In October of 2013, we were pleased to once again produce the National Literary Fair in collaboration with the Vincentian Association of Writers, Artists and Producers. The Literary Fair provided an opportunity for poets, visual artists, writers, crafters, panists, and other performers to showcase their talents. We trust that this will remain a feature on our Independence calendar.
And delivering the valedictory address, Greaves, who graduated with a BSc in accounting with first-class honors, says it is important to note that one of the reasons they are graduates of the University of the West Indies is because of change, adding that they have decided to transform and not conform.
In life, we know that change is inevitable. So why not make a change for something positive or something that is potentially more fruitful? Winston Churchill said, to improve is to change, to be perfect is to change often. One thing for sure is that we are all different now than when we started. Just take a look at any one of the graduates today and their enthusiasm should tell it all. My fellow graduates, education is not tied with a good job. Acquiring a good job is one of the perks which comes with education. Instead, education is a means to transport you or to help you navigate the social hierarchy or climb the ladder of success, if you will. Having achieved this milestone does not mean that you will land the job of your dreams right away. Furthermore, it does not even guarantee that you will get a job within the next few weeks for those of you who may be searching. Your individual accomplishments across the various disciplines is a vehicle with hard work and dedication being a fuel that can and should be used to power and drive you to your destination.
Meanwhile, in delivering the featured address, the Director of Administration and the University Registrar, Clement William Iton, spoke to the graduates on enhancing their personal and interpersonal effectiveness. He said that as they continue on the path to success, it is imperative that they have security of self.
Self is the instrument of leadership. If you're not secure in yourself, you would be a tyrannical leader. You would have a toxic workplace. You would rule by edict, and you won't get things done. They say before you can get people to know, before you get them to know you, you have to let them know that you care. You have to deal with their hearts, not their hands. So these lessons, these 7 lessons, these 7 habits, these 7 principles that I'm going to share with you this morning are sequential. They build on each other. You cannot start from the 7th come down and get the same results. You have to do the foundation work first. So you have to start at the beginning.
Iton further said that while independence is important, they must also master the skills that allow them to interact in a very amicable way with others.
Habit 1 says, be proactive. And it's a word that's been bandied around for a while. But what it essentially means is that you have to recognize that each of us, you and I, have the freedom and the power to choose our response to whatever it is that happens to us. That single discovery, if you can come to terms with that, can change your whole life. It's going to lead to the biggest paradigm shift that you would ever experience. When you recognize that if you wake up this morning and you are down, you're sour, you have to accept the fact that you chose to be sour. So if you know that you have the power to choose your disposition, why choose to be sour?
In other news, the retirement age for Vincentians increased by 1 year effective January 1st, 2014 and will do so every 3 years. That's according to Executive Director of the National Insurance Services, Reginald Thomas. He noted that this change, which is part of the pension reform program, is very significant to the N.IS.
So therefore, persons born 1955 and before, their retirement age will still be age 60. Persons who were born 1956 and 1957, their retirement age will be 61. Persons born 1958 to 59, their retirement age will be 62. Persons born 1960 to 1961, their retirement age will be 63. Persons born 1962 to 63, retirement age 64. And 1964 and after, the retirement age will then be 65. So with effect from 1 January, every 3 years thereafter, the retirement age goes up.
Thomas says that the rate of pension and the required contribution weeks have also seen changes as of January 1st.
The required amount of contribution for the applicable pension rate of 30% is 500 contributions, and that will change as follows. From the 1st of January 2016 to the 31st of December 2018, the required amount of contribution eligible for pension will be 550 weeks. 1st of January 2019 to 31st of December 2021, the required amount of contribution will be 600 weeks. 1st January 2022 to December 31st, 2024, 650 weeks of contributions. 1st January 2025 to 31st of December 2027, 700 contributions. And 1st January 28 and onwards, 750 contributions. So that by the time the retirement age gets to 65, the required amount of weekly contributions will then have moved from 500 weekly contributions to 750 weekly contributions.
And the contribution rate to the N.IS also saw a 2% increase effective January 1st, 2014. Thomas says the contribution rate, which was at 8%, has moved up to 10%.
Employers will pay 5.5% and employees will pay 4.5%. The self-employed rate will be, the self-employed will pay 9.5%, and the voluntary contributor will pay 8.84%. Voluntary contributors pay slowly, mainly just for the receipt of a pension.
Thomas, however, noted that under the parametric reform, the process remains the same, where employers will make wage deductions accordingly.
It's just that you as the employee must know that from effect from January, you are going to be paying, 4.5%. And not 3.5 as you were paying when the contribution rate was 8%. And that information is available here and by your employer.
Meanwhile, Thomas stated that the response to the changes have been positive and that employers have been working closely with the N.IS during this transitional phase.
Some employers have been calling to ask for a copy of the legislation, and we have taken steps to actually email a copy of the SRNO to the employer population, and we again will be reprinting the notice in the papers so that employers can, because even though the effective date is the 1st of January 2014, contributions which are deducted from wage and or salary for the month of January have until the end of February to be paid into the National Insurance Services.
In news from the courts now, this country's Chief Magistrate Sonia Young is of the view that the Serious Offences Court has been disposing of cases here on a faster rate with regard to preliminary inquiries than any other country in the OECS. Young made the point on Thursday morning when a prisoner who had been on remand since August appeared before her and stated that he was rather frustrated being at Her Majesty's prisons for several months and his preliminary inquiry could not be heard. Magistrate Young, a former deputy registrar here and who also held prominent judicial positions in other Caribbean countries, stated that she had knowledge of persons who have been on remand for several years and are still awaiting preliminary hearing date. She was quoted as saying there are several countries in the OECS that are trying to adopt SVG's strategy in disposing of serious offense cases. Nine outstanding individuals, businesses and communities will be honored tomorrow for their contributions to the development of the National 9 Mornings Festival at the annual prize-giving ceremony. They include Bassi Alexander and El Grupo Amistad, Pastor Errol Daniel of the Streams of Power Church in Sand Hill, Leroy Llewellyn and the Sand Hill Community, Carlton CP Hall, the National Lotteries Authority, St. Vincent Electricity Services, VINLEC, Sand Hill Euphonium Steel Orchestra, Marlene Fernandez of Kids Plus and the Ministry of Culture. At the ceremony, prizes will be distributed to the various zonal and national winners in the VINLEC Community Lighting Competition, the Best Lit Garden and the Best Lit Private House. There will also be the announcements of the Best 9 Mornings Community, Best Christmas Community, Best 100 Years Theme, Best Community on Parade, and Best Local Christmas Song. In this year's festivities, Point Village took the major title with Jimmy Samuel of Willan Hill, the Best Lit Private House, and the Richmond Hill Gardens, the Best Lit Garden. Tomorrow's prize-giving ceremony will begin from 10 a.m. at the Peace Memorial Hall. Well, Christian organizations, religious groupings, and the churches across the country will be coming together this Sunday for a national charity concert in aid of disaster relief for victims of the recent devastating floods. The Hope Concert, an evening of prayer and praise, is being held under the theme, Our Faith Will See Us Through. The event, organized by the umbrella grouping Hope for the Nation Committee, will feature 6 of the nation's leading worship teams, intercessory prayers for the nation by leaders of various Christian organizations, and addresses from members of the government and the opposition.
Raising much needed food and money, which will be contributed to those who have had losses. But more than anything else, we want to direct our nation to God, because when the food is eaten, when the money is spent and you're all alone, you still need hope. And we are pointing you to Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, who you can cry out to in the middle of the night when all your friends are gone, when you're left alone with all the burdens weighing down on you. We want to leave you with that hope.
Promotions Officer Caldon Charles outlined the significance of prayer for the nation at this time.
Nothing beats prayer. When everything else fails, we turn to the supreme sovereign author of prayer, which is our Father, our God. He's a creator. He knows everything. And so as much as we give the food, as much as we give monetary donations, when all of that is being consumed, we are still empty, we are still hopeless, we are still lost. And so persons lost life, they lost material things, but those who still have life, we're saying to them, there is still hope.
Meanwhile, Curtis Williams is encouraging all churches to be a part of Sunday's benefit concert.
Artists include Angelus, Kingstown Baptist Church, their worship team, led by Alfonso Sleepy Richards. We also have Harvest Bible Chapel worship team, that's with Kyoka Cruikshank. There's also the Angelicus Youth Ministries, that's with Ruth Constance. We have the committee chair, Fidel. He's also doing one of our worship sessions.
Well, the public is being invited to attend in large numbers and donate food and money in special receptacles which will be placed around the park. These will be supervised and handed over to various charitable organizations for distribution. The concert is expected to begin at 5 p.m. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Nicole Bellady Baker, says all schools across the country will reopen next Monday, January 13th. The January 6th school reopening date was extended by a week to accommodate disaster management officials in finding alternative shelters for persons who were affected by the Christmas Eve trough system. An official from the National Emergency Management Organization confirmed that the affected persons at the schools used as emergency shelters have been relocated, adding that while some persons were able to return home, others are being housed in alternative emergency shelters. Carib Cable, powered by Columbus Communications, earlier this week donated over $3,500 worth of school supplies and food items to the Rosebank Community Shelter. The shelter has a total of 83 persons who are affected by the recent trough system. A release says giving back to the community and supporting togetherness is very important to the company, and that the persons at the shelter were very appreciative of the donation.